Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this video is going to give you 5 really good tips when you start out training your Harris's hawk. Now, this isn't tips for numpties and dabblers. These are tips for the person that really wants to get into falconry. They've chosen a Harris hawk as their bird. This will work with other birds, but not necessarily all species. This is tailored to Harris hawks today. So this is going to give you some ideas of how you can really achieve better results when you set out and train a Harris hawk. Now, as I said, it's not for the dabbler. This is for the person that actually wants to practice falconry as a passion and to do really well with their hawks and, you know, do the best thing by their hawks for sure. So for sure, we could make this video 100 tips, couldn't we? But it's just a taster. It's just a few really handy things. And of course, because you're not a dabbler, we are already going on the fact that you've done your research, or certainly plenty of it. So I don't mean just social media. Social media is great, isn't it? It's there. There's lots of people all around the world. We can all talk to each other and we can get lots of ideas, tips and tricks. But the thing is, you can write stuff on social media in 2 minutes and anybody can do it, and they can say this is a fact and this works. The idiots can write on social media and pretend they're experts, can't they? So let's hope you've read some books. Now, the more books you read, the more of a balance you'll get of different people's ideas of working with birds of prey, and you'll hopefully find stuff that works for you. But the difference with books is huge, because to write stuff on paper and get it published, whether in a magazine or a book, takes much more time than to write drivel on social media. So the difference is, generally, if you're reading a falconry book, the person knows what they're talking about, they're passionate, and they've had to put so much time and probably a lot of money to get that into print. And that certainly sort of gets rid of the chafe, you know, and you're getting down to the sort of the decent people to give you advice. Channels like this and YouTube videos take a lot more work than writing on, say, Facebook, but books, a lot of time goes into them. So I really hope you've actually gone to something decent and bought yourself or borrowed some books. What books can I recommend? There's lots. There's some I wouldn't recommend, but I'm not going to slate the people. But anything by Martin Hollinshead, read them and digest them and absorb them. And The Harris Hawk Revolution by the Colsons, it's an American book. You know, they all do things different to how I would tell you, but these people know their stuff. And the Harris Hawk Revolution is just like a Bible of the Harris hawk. It tells you everything about them in the wild, disease, breeding, and lots of great tips and tricks for training. So number 1, read some books, but that's not in today's top 5 tips. And of course, before these 5 tips, another thing that you'll have done long before you actually get your hawk, of course, is you will have bought some telemetry, new or second hand, and you will have read the instructions. Yep, because telemetry is really simple to use, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And it's actually even simpler to use when you know how to use it. So get yourself some telemetry, read the instructions, learn about how the signal leaves a transmitter and reaches the Yagi, the aerial on the receiver. Learn about bounce back, so you're not walking in the opposite direction from your hawk. And of course, you're going to practice with this stuff long before you get your hawk. So when you do lose your hawk because you're a novice, and you're the person, of course, that needs telemetry more than anyone else, without a doubt, and that's life, and you should want to use telemetry, you'll know without panicking how to track down that lost bird or that errant bird. So books, read, telemetry, buy and learn. Now let's get down to 5 really useful tips for when you get your Harris's hawk. So firstly, get yourself some hoods. Talk to some good hood makers and get yourself 2 or 3 sizes for the bird you're expecting to get. So for instance, if you're getting a male Harris's hawk, get 2 or 3 different size male Harris hawk hoods, because they're like shoes. The same size doesn't fit everyone, even though it's the same size. Some people got narrower feet, some people have got slightly longer feet, and so on. And employ the hood from the first day you pick up that bird, because hooding that bird is going to be key to some of these other tips, and it's going to be key to having the easiest going Harris's hawk that never gets stressed out during manning, loves you, looks forward to you coming to look after it, and it gives you so many options that unhooded bird, the bird that won't accept the hood, doesn't have. And you will get people tell you for sure, a lot of people, they'll say, you don't need to hood your Harris's hook, let it see everything. When people say to you, you do not need to hood your Harris's hook, what is it's just another language. What they're actually saying is, I don't know how to hood a bird of prey, I'm incapable of hooding birds of prey, and I don't understand why. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. Look into hooding, find out how to hood the birds. Hopefully you have a good mentor that can show you how to hood birds of prey. Hood that bird from the first second you pick it up on the glove, on and off, all of the time. It's a whole topic. I'm not going to go into all the details of hooding. I did write a couple of articles recently in a magazine. I'll try and get some pictures or some links to that magazine, and so you can sort of read in depth. Hooding Harris's hawks, all the young people I know and work with can hood their Harris's hawks. Everybody should be able to hood a Harris's hawk. It completely changes everything about working with birds of prey when you understand and employ the hood. And to be honest, they're 20 quid. It's not even, there's not even an investment there. 20 quid upwards. You can pay what you like, but you can get a hood for £20. It's not expensive. There's no excuse at all. So top tip, massive tip number one is learn how to employ the hood and use it. You must use it from day one of training. If you don't, you're going to make it more and more difficult for yourself. Any bird can be hooded. The easy bird to hood and mate to the hood is the bird that you start hooding straight away. Number two, get your bird, your Harris's hawk, a high rotating ring perch. It doesn't need to be 6 foot high, it can be, but a metre high is absolutely fantastic. And what that will give you is something completely different. It'll give you a bird that's now not sitting on the ground 6 inches on a bow perch or a block, or 8 inches off the ground. You're getting it up off the ground, where in the winter it's away from the frost layer. More importantly, it's a bird. Birds feel comfortable high up. When a bird panics, it doesn't fly and go down a hole, it flies up to a tree. If you allow your hawk to have a high rotating ring perch, it's a really good tangle-free setup. The good ones, JWL, they make some good ones in the UK, and there's other people that make good ones in the UK too. They last forever, literally. They'll last for your lifetime. And that bird being a metre off the ground at least is a much more relaxed, comfortable animal. It looks better to you, but it's far more comfortable. So to start with, you're going to tether your bird on a block. Doesn't matter at this stage because you're going to get it a high ring perch straight away. So a block or a bow perch, just for the early stages, a couple of 3 days, and then tether it to the ring on the high ring perch with the low perch that you had it on to start with next to it. Not near enough so the leash can go around and tangle around a second perch, but so it can hop onto the low perch that it's familiar with after 2 or 3 days, and then from there jump up to the high ring perch. Once it's going up to the ring perch, get rid of the other block. It's just a tangle waiting to happen if you're not being judicious. So number two, top tip, use a high rotating ring perch for your Harris's hawk. They love them. It's better for their health, it's better for their sanity, and they look better for you. So number three, got your bird comfortable, got a nice perching area. Little insert here, just stepping back a tiny bit. You've freshly taken up young Harris's hawk. Do not put a bath out next to its perch. Perch it in the shade, because if it does bait, it might get hot and bothered. If it's a sunny day and it is a warm day, that's going to stress it out. So perch it in the shade. Don't put a bath out. Sometimes a bird will panic as you approach it. It'll bait violently, land straight in its bath, and it'll suck up some water, and it will get water on its lungs, and it essentially drown and die a few days or a day or two later. It can go without water for 2 or 3 days until it settles. Don't be tempted. It's not worth the risk. It's not going to have a bath anyway. And of course, also stepping back to perching, don't tether your bird on a long leash. It'll bait. It's a nervous bait because it's still nervous. It will go from 0 to 30 in a second, and if it's a 4, 5, 6 foot or longer leash, all that's going to be transferred to its legs and its hips as it baits away. It's a young bird, its bones haven't fully hardened and calcified yet. A 3 foot leash, more than long enough at this stage for sure. And of course, you're always going to tie 2 Falconry knots minimum. So number three, this only works if you employed step number one. Don't handle your Harris-hawk and feed it on the glove and be hell-bent on getting it to eat on the glove like the old books would tell you with goshawks. It's not a goshawk. Pick the bird up in the morning. You've probably put it away hooded overnight for the first few days so it's not panic-stricken when you approach it in the morning. Put it out on its perch and leave plenty of food behind the perch. Take off the hood, walk away, out of sight so you're not associated with that food, and let it eat on its own. With you out of sight, as much as it wants. It won't eat too much because it's nervous. Feed it like that for 5 days. Don't associate any food with you on the glove, but man the hell out of that bird, because you can hood your bird because you're sensible. So you can take that bird anywhere you like. Don't dilly-dally, go in somewhere quiet. Go everywhere, go anywhere you can. Horses, cars, immerse that bird in everything it's ever going to see. Because if it baits or looks too nervous, you can pop that hood straight on that bird and you can back off. And then you can take the hood off and let it see that thing, whatever it is, a car, motorway, horses, anything, from a bit further away. And you can approach again. If it shows too many nerves, hood it. You're going to hood that bird and you're going to prevent that bird ever from having a meltdown at anything. It's never going to be baiting and hanging upside down on the glove, panting. It's never going to collapse on the glove as you lift it back on because it's absolutely stressed to the max and it can't even straighten its legs to grip anymore. Your bird's never going to get stressed like that, but you're going to take it into the deep end from day one of training. You're not going to approach it with food to pick it up. You're not going to feed it to take its mind off stuff. It's not a goshawk, it's a Harris's hawk. This works just as well with a parrot-reared golden eagle. Absolutely immerse it in everything and have the hood ready to slip on its head at more than the slightest sign of nerves. Back off, look at that again. Do that for 5 days or a week. Feed it as much as it wants to eat on its own, out of sight of you, on its perch somewhere quiet every day. It'll regulate its own weight. Its weight will come down anyway. You don't even really need to weigh it at this stage if you don't want to. But of course, it makes sense to weigh it and start logging those weights. Man it, go everywhere. Don't sit reading a book while it tries to bait to the shelf in your kitchen or outside on the patio while it tries to go up to a nice tree branch that you're now just standing or sitting near reading, drinking tea, thinking you're manning your bird. You're not. Employ the hood. Man that immersively straight away. My goodness me, you'll have a bird that is so bomb-proof that can go anywhere weeks, months ahead of other people's birds. Harris-hawks don't need hooding. They don't need swivels, do they? They don't need feeding anything other than day-old chicks. They don't need a roof to shelter under. They don't need any of those things, do they? But they're going to suffer without them. Learn to hood your bird, man it immersively without food. Getting dark now. Come on, Zara. So, number 4, tip number 4. Got a nice comfy perch. You can hood your bird effortlessly because you've been really putting the time in. You've been manning that bird and taking it everywhere, but never once has it had a meltdown on the glove because you popped the hood on and backed off. 5 or 6 days, 7 days maybe of doing this. Get training. Now, feed the bird on the glove. As soon as it eats on the glove, get it to jump a foot for the next bit of food, a nice big chunk. You're not looking for 10 goes, 4 or 5, maybe 6 jumps to the glove max during any of this sort of training. Chunky rewards, chop its whole day's food up with it, which you think it's going to need, into decent sized chunks. It's already relaxed with you. It's not scared of you anymore. It's not looking at and staring at you with its wings out, frightened that you're going to eat it. It's got over that. It's already eating because it's been eating on the glove. It's been eating quietly on its perch. It's settled into the surroundings. As soon as it eats on the glove, the next day, ask it to jump a foot. Ask it to step to the glove. As soon as it does that, get it flying to the glove on the clearance line. If it comes a foot and then it doesn't come anymore, don't feed it. That's it. It's just had all it wants for that day. It's regulating its own weight. Go back a step the next day and then go forward a step. As soon as it doesn't want any more food, it doesn't want to come. That's its food for the day. Don't give it any more. Tomorrow it'll be a little bit keener. It's regulating its own weight. Keep a chart. Within a few days, that bird, because of all the work you did, just a short few days, it's going to be coming 20 or 30 metres on the clearance line as soon as you call it. And as soon as it's doing that, we're going to go straight to tip number 5. So tip number 5, you're probably 2 weeks in now since you got your bird. It's already now come in. It's really well manned. It's come in fantastically responsively. You've logged its weight and it's coming well on the creance. Beg, borrow or steal a dead rabbit. Get someone or you to drag that rabbit out of some nettle beds or from behind an object straight across the bird's path as you're walking with it on the creance. Hopefully it will nail that rabbit straight away. Let it have a good crop, a decent feed on that rabbit. If it doesn't go for the rabbit, which it probably won't, kneel down. You've incised the rabbit, there's a little bit of meat showing. Kneel down, use your bare hand to open up the area so you can see the meat. Encourage it in any way you can to just jump off your glove, even if the glove is 4 inches above the rabbit. You just want it to step off and start feeding on that rabbit. Let it have a decent mouthful, good few decent mouthfuls. Don't feed it anything else, don't do any cool-offs. Try again with a drag rabbit. This might take you a few days, it might be straight away. Regulate its weight down a bit more if you have to, as long as it knows the rabbit's food and it's fed off it. As soon as it chases that rabbit, it doesn't even have to go far and it nails it, let it have a good feed. That's tip number 5. Get it on a carcass as quick as you can. And as soon as it's taking a carcass, get that bird hunting. Get as much game underneath and in front of that bird as you possibly can. Hopefully, easy stuff. Pick the easiest slips that you can. It doesn't need to be sporting at this stage. It just needs to get confidence and build that confidence. So definitely, tip number 5, get the bird to recognize a rabbit and then get it out hunting. Let's give you a bit of easy. It's took you 3 weeks. Your bird's now chasing stuff. That's going to be your biggest asset in not having a parent-reared bird that turns into a screaming habdab, which your neighbours are going to hate and you're going to fall out with, because no bird of prey makes a nice sound that you want to hear in a garden kind of environment. Get that bird hunting and get it independent. At no point do you need to be doing 100-metre cool-offs on a creance. At no point do you need to be doing 40 or 50 cool-offs to the glove. Give it bigger rewards and just a few of them. You're just looking for an instant response when you call that bird. Thanks for watching. There's a lot more to come. Please subscribe. It makes me want to kind of keep making and growing this embryonic channel for you and for me. And check out the old channel, Raptor Exotics Falconry. There's lots of helpful Harris Hawk and falconry videos on there. I'll try and sort of flicker through onto the screen now. Go on there, watch a little bit more in depth. See you soon. There'll be plenty more falconry. There'll be plenty more Harris Hawks on this channel. Enjoy your falconry, look after your birds, and strive to do it well. No one's perfect, but aim for that, and then you're going to have a great time and you can have a really proficient Harris's hawk. See you soon.